My name is Susan Harden, and welcome to the H-1B Scaling Apprenticeship Introduction and Live Demo. This is a 35-minute session. The morning session started on time and ended right on schedule, so we will keep that in place for this afternoon as well. This is a live two-way presentation, so please, if you're here through your phone, please mute your phone so we don't hear your hold music. I'd really appreciate it. Here's my email. This will be available again at the very end of the session. This is going to be a quick fire, fairly high level session, so we may not get through all of the nitty gritty. If you do have questions that you'd like to get asked and answered and we don't get through them today, please give me a call or shoot me an email. I'd love to hear from you. There's also a website here that has a lot more detail if you'd like to take a look at that. Again, this is a handout available for you in the GoToTraining control panel under materials. There's also a chat feature there. I was asked this morning to make sure to point that out. That if you'd like to chat in any questions throughout the session, certainly feel free, or chat at the end. We did have about 5 minutes at the end of the session this morning for questions. So if you want to chat in, we may get to questions at the very end. So with a picture being worth 1,000 words, as they say, these are some logos of some of our customers, for H-1B customers, that is Scaling Apprenticeship, America's Promise, Tech Hire, the Strengthening Working Families Initiative. We've had the pleasure of working with a number of organizations, about 31 or 32 or 33 or so H-1B organizations, contracts over the years, serving about 120 to 30 community colleges around the country. So very much appreciate that, and very much appreciate all of your time today being here with me, with I know what are super busy schedules this time of year, and with some of the chaos that's going on in all of our lives. I really appreciate it. So the learning goals for today come straight out of your email invite. So nothing has changed. We're going to be really focused on the tasks at hand. We're going to spend some time looking at our AGS Prime Scaling Apprenticeship application, which is a turnkey WIPS compliant application designed specifically for managing H-1B scaling apprenticeship data and reporting within a case management environment. So there's humans helping humans, while at the same time being compliant for WIPS reporting. It's kind of handy. We're going to spend some time reviewing the overview of the pre-built template, the application. That is to say, I'll demonstrate some of the business rules and how those look on fields and forms. You can get a feel for what the system kind of looks like, if you will. We're going to run a WIPS report right out of my demo system so you can see exactly how that behaves. And we'll take a look at a couple of other reports. One in particular will be a performance outcome measures report that will be representative of the outcome measures that you put into your proposals for which you want to be able to stay on top of on a regular basis. So I'll demonstrate that report for you as well. So that is our plan for today. I'm going to swizzle over right now to the system itself and dive right in. Make sure I get to my site. Here we go. Okay, so I have logged in. This is my AGS Prime Scaling Apprenticeship, my H-1B system. It also supports the Closing the Skills Gap application if any of you are supporting that initiative as well, that grant as well. So I've logged in. I'm an administrator. It's a really quick overview of what you're seeing. Prime is a completely web-based application, meaning there's no proprietary hardware or software that you need to purchase or manage on the desktop. No special servers. There's no special hardware or software for putting data in or for getting the data out for reporting. So I just wanted to kind of mention that briefly. What we see across the top of is the menu, the different modules, if you will, in this application. We're here at the home module where we see our welcome screen, editable by you. You will have your own logos and your own messages here, et cetera, et cetera. our participant management area where all of the participant data is going to reside. We'll take a look at that in a minute. Our employer management, the CRM, the Integrated Employer Outreach module is here. I have logged in as an administrator, so I see my admin module. You will obviously have what I'll call end users or navigators or career coaches or whatever you call them, who will be doing, data entry into the system, working directly with participants and students. And they would not have admin access. That's going to be really for your application administrators who will be trained and responsible for adding organizations, adding staff, changing keywords, doing some of that under the hood configuration control that we allow you to have. We don't allow you to configure yourself out of compliance, but you do get to color outside the edges a little bit. And then, of course, reports. Again, you will have limited numbers of people who would have access to reports, really probably just your admin folks. We have a self-registration module that we have added into the application template as things have changed and schools no longer have students coming into the schools, obviously. This self-registration module is sort of a built-in workflow for being able to have participants begin the data collection process, maybe from their own homes or wherever they might be, that you're launching a link to a self-registration form so that you then at your school or at the central project office would be able to then review and approve, if you will, that data to fall into the overall collection of approved participants who will be moving on in your project. So that's the self-registration module. I'm going to switch things up just a little bit from the agenda, and I want to start with reports. That seems to be sort of that very critical area that people look for in systems like this to be able to solve some of those really key problems, like WIPS reporting. So when I click on reports, we see a handful of reports here. Our Codebook, which is really the detail about the aggregations and the data element details for every single report. We'll take a look at that last. The QPR that we also produce for you as a representation of what the feds provide back to you after you've submitted your WIPS report. Outcome measures report, as I mentioned, and your CSV WIPS file. We're going to start here. I'm going to go ahead and just actually run this report directly from my system. I'm going to launch this report. I'm going to select the funding source. I'll select Scaling Apprenticeship. I will select 2020, quarter one. And I don't want to include the header. I'm going to, actually, I guess I will for testing purposes, I will for today. I'm going to ignore the error file. And I'm going to not include any additional fields right now. And I'm going to run this for all organizations. So again, as administrators, we're going to be able to see all of the data across all of my consortium member schools. Each school, however, will only see their school's data. But as administrators, we always see all the data. Go ahead and run this report. This will take just a moment to run. And there it is. So I have my WIPS file. Of course, I'm testing, so I included my headers, which you would obviously not include if you were sending this off to the feds in real life. But I only have 5 customers in my systems. You can see in my demo system that we produce this report sort of automatically for you, if you will. One of the nice things that we do as H-1B subject matter experts is we keep your system up to date as the feds make changes. And they are making changes fast and furiously right So that's one of the things that we do both on the data input side, on the forms and the fields and the business rules, as well as in the WIPS report as they make changes, when they make changes, if they make changes, et cetera, et cetera. We keep this report up to date too based on the Fed's requirements. So I've just run this report, super simple, and that's a beautiful thing. So we're kind of done with that. Now, let's imagine you've actually uploaded that report to the Feds. They send you back an email that says, we acknowledge receipt of your WIPS file. That's great. You'll get a second email from the Feds within a few minutes or hours or days, depending upon their own backlog. That will be a QPR. Well, again, I'll produce this report for you. So what we've done for our customers is given you the ability to basically have a preview of the QPR that you will expect to see back from the Feds. And we do this so that you can compare your data from this QPR to whatever the Feds send back to you. And ideally, we want them to match exactly right. But we do this so that you can not only, be assured that what you're doing in this system is accurate and correct, but that you can just have this for your own files and be able to run this whenever you want to. So you can see, for those of you who are, intimately familiar with, the QPR, this looks exactly like what the Feds produced. They have recently gone through kind of a major overhaul on this. We also keep this up to date as the Feds make changes for you. And then I also want to run the real-time performance outcome measures report. So what happens with this report is when you start using Prime and we take you through your first administrator training, we will train you to enter in all of your performance outcome goals that you put into your proposal. You'll pull out your proposal, you go to your appendix, and here we'll show you how to enter in all of those goals per school, per year, per measure. For those of you who did outcome measures for special categories like veterans or male and female and barriers or whatever you may have done, you can enter all of those as well, so that this report allows you to report against that funding source. I'll just use staff organization 1 for this report for demo purposes. Run the report, and you'll be able to see your actual data that you've entered compared to where you said you were going to be as your projections, as well as the percent to goal. You can see in this report, which is why I picked this particular report, we see 2 worksheets here at the bottom, one that says total and one that's broken out by a particular special category that I happen to be keeping track of in this particular goal. So I also broke out women. So we automatically break out worksheets for each and every one of those special categories. On a per year basis. The last thing I want to show you is the Codebook. So this is one of those reports that people love. And we've always produced a Codebook for all of our H-1B customers over all the years. And what this allows them to do is I'm going to go down to program outcome measures, and I'm going to pick on everybody's favorite field, 1813. What we do is we take the actual information from the Pearl and redocument it here for you in sort of logical, easy to read fashion. The data element name, the data element number, the field length, all the details that come from that specification document. And then we tell you where it's mapped to in the Prime system. So there is never any question on a field name, a data element number, or a Prime form and field where everything fits. And how we are, then we even go to the level of giving you the conditional text and the code. So if you have a technical committee or a technical person or whatever, and you want to be able to validate how we are handling all of the business logic as documented by the feds, you can see all of this. It's completely transparent for every single field on every single form, particularly as it relates to WIPs and compliance data. So that's your WIPs file. You can also do a search if I want to see all of the fields that deal with the word incumbent. They have the word incumbent in their name. You can do a quick search and find all of those data element numbers and fields and be able to examine them. Again, everything is completely detailed here. So we have a code book for every single one of these reports. All of these reports all use the same, WIPs data file. So again, just a quick preview of what, this report might look like from the codebook perspective. This has been probably one of the most popular aspects of our H-1B systems, to be able to have this level of transparency and just education about some of these business rules, and make that digestible in a little bit easier fashion sometimes. So that's all here for you. I'm going to switch gears away from reports for the moment, and I'm going to jump over to the admin tab. And I just want to show you what it looks like under the hood, specifically about managing our goals. I've been talking about the performance outcome measures report. So I've already entered some of my goals, so I'm going to view my H-1B goals. Some of these have been entered into my demo system. I have year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4 for my staff organization 1. I have staff organization 1, year 1 for a particular category, women. You saw that displayed in the report. I have a year 1 for just one other organization called staff org 2. So when we say you'll pull out your proposal and go to your appendix and enter in all of your goals, here's what that looks like. It's a simple form where you select the year, you select what kind of a category it is, or if there's no special categories, you just want totals, which organization does it belong to, and then you're just going to type in the goal numbers that you put into your proposal. And you're going to do this for every year. If you broke it out by organization, again, for all the organizations by year. If you did it for special categories, for all the special categories by year, so that you have this entire matrix of all of your goals, so that Prime can produce for you that performance outcome measures report, because you've put in all of your goals. So I just wanted to show you what that looks like. It's super simple. You don't need to be a computer programmer to do the configuration changes like that and manage your system. I'm going to switch gears again, and I'm going to jump over to my participant management side. This is where we are working with participants and potential participants and their data, and helping them and helping to document their progress through the program. So when I click here, I see all of my approved participants who are currently in my list. I have 5 customers, as you've heard me say before. I will open up John Doe. I'm going to open up his file folder, this little green icon. Just single click on that because it's web-based. Everything is hot, just a single left click. And I see his participant profile, his demographics, if you will. He's enrolled in a couple of different programs, and I'm just going to collapse these sections of different categories of documents, if you will, that we have collected on behalf of this customer over time. When I open up his profile form, just a quick glance of this, we've all seen forms and fields, but I want to give you a feel for what this looks like. So this is the participant profile, the start of all data entry on behalf of a participant. We document some high-level demographic information. The fields and the values that you see here are the only allowed values that the feds support. We also include the help text directly from the federal Pearl, so you have that guidance as data entry. We also provide some additional fields on the form. We've been doing this for a number of years. We know there are other fields that, again, as case managers, we need to be able to contact people. This data is not related to the feds and the WIPS file, but it's here for you as case management. Go back to the case files, the case folder view, and scroll up. And we saw his profile, the demographics. We've decided this person is going to be enrolled in the program, so we have created a program form for him. The program list of names is an editable field by you, which, again, no programming. You just create it, just update the table. These are most of our customers have a number of different programs that their participants are able to be enrolled in. So they list their programs listed here. You saw your funding source. And then you again see fields on this program enrollment form that are dedicated to the only allowable values and the help text directly from the feds. This form also has a lot of baked-in business rules so that your frontline staff, those navigators, their career coaches, etc., aren't going to be able to enter in data that's conflicting. So when it comes time to do WIPS uploading, you're not chasing down bad data. So for example, employment status at program entry. I'm employed, I'm currently receiving H-1B funded, and I am considered unemployed, no, right? If I say yes to, I'm actually going to document as being underemployed rather, this cannot equal no if this person is a recipient of H-1B grant funded, a recipient of incumbent worker training. I also cannot be unemployed and underemployed and receiving H-1B. So I can begin to see how I can manage my data, right? Where the system is going to say, hey, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. So your staff doesn't have to have all these business rules memorized. And this is just a sort of a quick example, but we're going to help guide them through that process with these on-screen, on-field error checks. So we enroll them in a program. We're going to document their training. We're going to associate that training with their program. Again, we have very key fields here that are coded to only allow for fields that the feds expect. We have our ONET code here with a link that opens up to a separate window. So you're not going to have to worry about closing the system just to be able to create ONET codes. We also keep track of credentials. You will have undoubtedly many training records and potentially many credential records on behalf of each training. And what we will do for you for your WIPS reporting is we'll report the trainings, and we will report your highest 3 credentials. So you don't have to worry about if a person has 6 credentials, you don't have to worry about ordering those or deleting anything. The system is smart enough to know that you're capturing data on behalf of this participant, and let the system do the smarts for creating your WIPS file. I see a question, is it possible to import a list of records with basic bio or demographic data to get started using the system? Yes, absolutely. We fully support importing your existing data, particularly that demo data, demographic data, and get you started with a fully populated, or a partially populated system, as the case may be, as I know you're kind of just getting started. So absolutely, yes. That's a fairly common question for sure. So we're capturing demographics, program enrollments, trainings, credentials, measurable skills gains, right? That we need to make sure we're keeping track of. We're keeping track of work experience and employment and services. Services represented by a services catalog that is completely under your control for entering all of the different services that you are providing. The feds only care about the category of service: case management, specialized or supportive, or assessment and employment. Everything to the right of the colon where it says case management and mentorship and paid work, et cetera, those are your detailed titles of services that you can keep track of, the myriad of services that you are providing to your participants to be able to do your own analytics at any point in time. So you can say, a person who came in the door who looked like this, enrolled in this kind of a program, received this package of services, if you will. How did it go? Did it work? What do we need to do better or different next time? Let's use this information to write the next grant. So we really encourage you to track all of the services when you touch a participant and help them with something, document those services. Beyond that, of course, case noting, participant attachments for resumes or photo IDs or timesheets or whatever the case might be, have nothing to do with WIPS reporting, but has everything to do with just having a good case management system. So those other attributes are built into the system. So very briefly, I want to just jump over to the employer management piece to kind of show you what this looks like. There's only a little bit of information that's over here that's part of your performance outcome measures. But this is really a built-in, full-blown CRM module that is here for you. We always include this in our grant management programs. We have always thought it was super important to, work with the other customer set, right? The employer side of the equation. So we see information like our employer demographics, their profile. We're going to be able to keep track of contact, the electronic Rolodex. Who are we calling on? If I'm one of your employer reach team members, I'm going to keep track of the employers I'm calling on, the people with whom I'm calling on at those employers, right? And of course, the activities that I'm keeping track of on behalf of those employers. So that's really important information. We're going to keep track of job openings, employment opportunities. You can match jobs to participants. You can match participants to jobs. So that crosswalk is always there for you, depending on which side of the house you're working in, on participants or employers, to be able to easily manage the data, report the data, and have this at your fingertips. With the time remaining, I'm going to actually switch gears and go back to my presentation. And kind of go through a quick wrap up. I'm not going to read these screens to you. This is available for handout. But just a quick wrap up on what we think our value proposition is for the AGS Prime Scaling Apprenticeship application for this grant for you. We've been around US DOL projects at AGS for a little more than 20 years. We have supported, as I said earlier, dozens of grants, H-1B grants, working with scores and scores of community colleges around the country. We do consider ourselves H-1B subject matter experts. We host monthly H-1B user group meetings. We just had our second Scaling Apprenticeship user group meeting yesterday, an hour-long session where we bring all of our customers together and have that community where gives us a chance to present updates to the system, as well as our customers ask each other questions, especially right now where a lot of things there's still a lot of moving parts. So that is a really nice community. We have done the same thing for the last 3.5 years with the other H-1B grants. We meet monthly, the first Tuesday of every month. And that has been a really, really big part of the support that we bring to our customers. You've seen in a really quick fire fashion, this is a pre-built system. It's compliant for H-1B Scaling Apprenticeship, PEARL, and WIPS reporting. As I mentioned earlier, we do provide ongoing updates to the system at no additional cost. That's just part of what our commitment is to the project. And we always invite hearing about updates that the feds have made. We are certainly part of Workforce GPS, so we are able to see a lot of that publicly available information, and we take advantage of that. You've hopefully seen a lot of our functionality. You saw the self-registration piece, the CRM, the performance outcome measures. We do provide ongoing and unlimited administrative technical support throughout the process as well, throughout the project. We do provide web-based administrative training and train-the-trainer training. So that is all part of your package for the annual subscription. So with that, I do want to say thank you. I want to make sure we're on time and have room for any additional questions or discussion. Again, here's my information, my email and my phone. Even though we're all working from home, my phone, of course, is forwarded to my cell. Here's, again, that link to more insightful, more deeper dive into some of the AGS Prime attributes. There's a quick survey at the end of this. If you would just take I think there's like about a 30-second, just click and be done with that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask now. Everybody's unmuted if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question now, or use the chat feature, or get a hold of me afterwards. That's perfectly fine. Oh, thank you. Another question has been chatted in. How long does it typically take to get started? Well, that's a great question. And like any good consultant, I'll respond by saying it depends. Seriously, it really does depend more on your schedules than anything else. But it's typically very, very fast. Real life scenario. I met with a customer who had just agreed and their paperwork was in process and everything was authorized. I met with them on a Friday. We have a project planning meeting, about a 45-minute meeting to go through some of those key next steps. I needed their domain name so we could set up their domain name. All of our customers have their own segregated domain. There is no commingling of data. This is not a multi-tenant environment. So they gave me their domain name on a Friday and some other key information. We met that following Monday, the very next Monday. Their site was all set up. We had their 2-hour administrative training session. They had some homework. I gave them the rest of the week to finish their homework and fill out those goals and add their staff users and whatnot and do the rest of their job. We met the following Monday for a 2-hour follow-up and just make sure everything made sense and really stuck. And just kind of reviewed their work and made sure everything was copacetic. And that they were then ready to turn around and schedule their end user training. Now, granted, they had a consortium, and so they started out their training with a smaller number of schools for the first wave of training, but they were ready to do that training, and we did that training. About a week later, I sat in on the training to assist them, even though they really led the training on business process and how they wanted the system to be utilized within the confines of being, compliant. So that's a real life scenario from a scheduling perspective. It was pretty darn quick. Another question, we were exploring some pricing structures. We can speak directly about that. That would be great. I'll give you here a basic range. We do provide the system as an annual subscription, and that subscription price ranges from on an annual basis from anywhere from $20,000 up to $45,000 per year. It kind of ranges just depending upon the size and scope of the effort. Because we provide unlimited sort of everything, that's kind of how we do a little bit of metering. So we try to keep it simple, but that's our basic structure is an annual subscription. That's kind of a price range. But I'd be more than happy to get back with you, get together with you and talk more details and learn a little bit more about your project afterwards if that works for you. Any other questions I can answer for anybody right now? Very good. Thank you. Okay, well, I'm going to keep you right on time. It is exactly 35 minutes. So I really appreciate, again, everyone's time. And I know it's almost cliche to say, but please stay safe and stay healthy. We need you. And again, thank you. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody.